Hello.
Hello, Heather.
We're like, when do we
So,
start talking?
3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Miss Diana.
Hello, Miss Heather, and hello, everyone in Judgment Free Zone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happy to be
I
here.
I had an interesting idea that we could do something really bad on a video and just test people if they'll be judging us in the Judgment Free Zone because it's a good invitation to actually not judge.
And it's always, good to have practice at being judged too, because if you can receive it, then you're not in judgment of the judgment. You're free.
Yeah, that is truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we do
Yeah.
have an interesting question for you today, and that's, are you willing to ask for everything you truly desire?
I love that question. And it's actually been totally facilitating me today already in a massive way. Um, because I think, one of the big things with this question is to actually, for us to get clear about what that is. Like you can't even ask for everything you truly desire until you know what it is. And so often we're in judgment of ourselves and we're in judgment of our desires, and we don't acknowledge to ourselves what it is that we desire because, it's wrong or it's not cool or it's not conscious or whatever.
That was exactly what I woke up today with, because I was like, oh, they asked me to come on the judgment free zone and do this question. Are you willing to get everything you truly desire? And I was looking at myself and I'm like, am I willing to get everything that I truly desire? Why am I even here? So I went into that, oh wow, and I should be presenting this question on this live on YouTube. Was I willing to always ask for everything that I truly desire? Or did I even acknowledge that I got to the point where I have things that I truly desired in life? And what Heather said, I would say that's one of the most important parts of uh, getting what you truly desire, as the acknowledgement of that you actually might already be having it. Because if you never acknowledge it, then you kind of miss that you have it. So that was like a thing that I was really looking at today regarding myself and regarding my life choices and everything. And I was like, did I even acknowledge myself ever that I actually am somewhere where I've always desired to be right
Wow,
now?
that's cool. Yeah, and if we look at the judgment piece of that too, it's like one of the ways that we stop ourselves from acknowledging that what we have, like that what we've been asking for has shown up, is because it doesn't usually look like we think it's going to. And so when your life shows up in a particular way and it doesn't match the projections that you had of what it was going to be, which is a judgment, projections are a form of judgment, then it's like you could miss it totally.
Oh, yeah. And how often do you miss it because of judgments of other people? Because it doesn't look, or you disregard what you got and what you've created based on that someone tells you, but you didn't create it just by yourself. For example, regarding money, let's say I give an example. You finally build a house that you've always desired to have, but your husband was contributing a lot, or your parents gave you money for that house, and someone comes and judges you for, but you didn't create it just by yourself. You didn't make the money, like the whole amount of money for the house. And then you're like, oh, yeah, truth. Many people helped me. So it's not truth that I really created what I've desired. So how often we really kind of diminish what we've created based on other people's projections and judgments and measure scale of what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, that's so true. And just, our judgments of ourselves are some of the most erosive energies that we have in our lives. And that's like, I remember this moment where I was actually in this very kitchen where I am now. It was many years ago. And I I just like stopped in my tracks and I was like, whoa, I'm never going to get out of judgment of myself unless I actually stop judging me while I'm in it. Like, and I think we think, and we have these beautiful tools in access consciousness. We have the clearing statement. We have, so many amazing ways to clear things and change energies. And I realized for me that I was really kind of like thinking, well, someday I'm going to magically wake up and not judge myself anymore, And I realized that the piece that was really missing for me was choice in the moment and actually going, I'm judging myself right now. I'm going to stop. I'm going to flip this 180 degrees. I'm going to ask. So here's some tools that you can use. I'm going to ask a question. What's right about me that I'm not getting? I'm going to go to gratitude instead, because gratitude eclipses judgment. Basically, they can't exist in the same space. So those are like a few tools. And I think it's a powerful thing to remember every day that we get out of judgment of ourselves by making that choice every day. And then we can have more clarity on what is, what has shown up, and what we desire for the future without any judgment of it. It's like, what if we really all could be asking for what we truly desire, and it doesn't have to look any particular way or like anybody, like it does for anybody else.
Yeah. And and you mentioned it at the beginning, Heather, that we often have no clarity what it is that we as an infinite being, and that's one of the things that we talk in Access about as well, is that you might not be finite, you might be infinite being. So your questions and desires don't have to be finite. You don't have to be okay with having less. You can ask for more. And having clarity in what you as an infinite being desire, that still is one of the tough things for me, because we perceive a lot of people around ourselves and their desires and what they would love to have in their lives. And we sometimes think it's also our desire, but it might not be. And for me, what popped in the morning was a question: what would I, as an infinite being, truly desire if I was choosing only for myself?
I love that. I love that at the end of that. If I was choosing only for myself, because we think it's like not conscious to choose, if I was choosing only for myself, well, that would make me selfish, not conscious. We put all these conditions around what it is that we're allowed to choose. I this morning had a massive conversation with somebody where I realized there was this huge universe that I wasn't allowing myself to, I wasn't acknowledging that I desired, and I wasn't allowing myself to ask for it and choose it. So I love, this question. It's like,
and it's just funny, Heather, when we're talking, I haven't seen a humming. I'm at the ranch in Texas, Lazy Double D Ranch, that Gary Douglas and Dr. Dain own. By the way, if you've ever wondered where is the place there is with a lot of space and no heads with judgments around, it might be here or at El Lugar, because those two places for me always been such a space without perceiving other people's heads and their judgments. So that will be one of my recommendations to go if you would love to perceive that space without people's heads around. But I'm watching a hummingbird, and when we talking here, I'm just watching him drinking from the blossoms on a tree, and I'm like, he's not judging himself for choosing for himself to feed. And he's not looking around being like, oh my God, I drank from this blossom and that bee might be starving. Like he's just kind of happily going from one blossom to another one, because he will feed himself, his babies that are in the tree over there. So he's just having that joy of living without wondering if he's going to step on someone else's toes by being himself.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we function without judgment, without our minds, we're so much more like the bees or the animals. Like we're so much more and actually there's just so much more space and peace and ease and joy, and clarity, and what you desire, those of you listening, like, what if it's none of it's wrong? What if you're not selfish? What if there's nothing wrong to ask for? And we can give ourselves the space of that kind of space, like that you talk about, like that is the ranch and a lugar, like the space that the earth is for us and with us. And we could give ourselves that kind of space and the allowance to really explore everything. Because this became so clear to me this morning. Like, I was like, wow, I've been pushing this whole world aside because I was actually in judgment of it. And this whole thing that is actually like quite a possibility in my life, I've been like pushing it aside because I'm like, no, that's not, I don't want that. That's not blah, 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 And we spend so much energy avoiding those things that we truly desire because of our judgments. And we can't actually create our lives because we're like, all of our energy is going into the avoidance of the thing that we think is wrong, that we'd really like to have. And you don't have your energy freed up to create and generate what would actually be fun for you. And I know Gary Douglas says, what if the purpose of life was to have fun? And it's like, wow, like really, I look at that every day and I'm like, could I really give myself that, like the permission to live from that,
And a good question regarding this is, what am I avoiding and what am I defending? It's one of the really cool questions for me because I am a fighter, or I've always been in life. I was fighting for the things that I want, the things that I don't want, the things that I think are right. So what am I avoiding and what am I defending was one of my go-to questions whenever I'm going into that energy of being an asshole a little bit towards myself and also towards everyone else. Because that hummingbird functions from a communion, and because he lives from, and this is probably the invitation what the no judgment or judgment-free zone is, because whenever you're judging, you're really creating barriers around yourself and you cannot create beyond them. And you cannot be in communion with anyone or anything. So that's where you pretty much box yourself into or jail yourself into a prison. And then you cannot go further than that.
Yeah. And that is like, it's such an unkindness to ourselves, And what if we could just simply choose kindness for ourselves? And that, to me, I'm like, that's actually the world I would like to live in. And I also acknowledge there's way more of that every day than there was, a month ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. And it's like, what if we really actually get like allowed ourselves to get, if we find out we're selfish, oh, well, most people are just avoiding that because they're avoiding that judgment. But it's like, what if we could prioritize kindness with ourselves and the allowance of all choice, like having all choice, and then the willingness to have the vulnerability to ask for it.
Oh, yeah. And so if you would think about one thing that you've desired from when you were a kid, if it was a Star Wars Lego, or something that now as an adult you might be thinking, oh, it's so stupid, now I really don't need it. But what if you would allow yourself to get that one thing that might be already like not appropriate to get yourself or buy yourself, but what if you get it today? What if you allow yourself to actually get it today, even if it's, I don't know, a pink beanie or something crazy that you've always been like, oh, I really wanted it, and you never allowed yourself because your parents were like, don't wear pink or whatever, just, so what if today is the day that you would allow yourself to get something that you might have desired as a child and never allowed yourself to get?
I love that. I love that. And also like just bringing in the element of choice for for those bigger things, that aren't, we can't just like actualize in a day, but like giving ourselves the space. It's like choosing for today to have something that you've never allowed yourself to. You maybe have never admitted that you desired, and what if you could admit it to yourself? You don't have to tell anybody, and choose it. Just go quietly to you. I'm going to have this, and see what it's like to live one day with the choice for whatever that is. See what your life is like at the end of the day, what your world is like, what your energy is like at the end of the day. And that can be such a powerful exercise for clarity, because you also may find at the end of the day that you're like, I didn't actually desire that. Well, great. Now you have more clarity.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was just suggesting something tiny because we often go to like, I would love to be a billionaire. And
Yeah.
then we every day past that judge ourselves that we are not a billionaire yet. At the end of a week, you're like, where's my billions? I did screw up in the middle of a week somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's why I was like, I was looking at myself, just allowing to get the tiny little things that you desire, and also for yourself, acknowledge what is the big thing that you would love to create. And maybe questions regarding the big things. What can I be today? What can I choose, create, or generate today that would create that future that I'm looking at right now?
Love that. I love that, because it can be something teeny, something huge, both, and everything. It's like, let's have a million asks every day. And when you get like, there's such a power to being like, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that, without a point of view, just like, yeah, I'll have all of it, and then you don't have to know, you don't have to know how it's going to show up. It's the beauty of the ask is it's so powerful what it creates, especially when done from space and allowance. It's like that sets the universe in motion on your behalf in some really magical ways.
And it just keeps kind of showing up for me. If you've never had your bars run, maybe find a person that can run your bars. Because what really, really contributed to me to get more clarity in what I desire was getting my bars run. Because that just flooded out all the thoughts that were not belonging to me. And I had a little bit more of the fresh, clear brain afterwards to be able to look at what it is for me.
Yeah, that gets rid of judgment in like the easiest way. You just lay down on a table, fall asleep, and wake up different with less judgment.
Like, you don't have to work that hard.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and if you haven't ever had the access bars, oh, it's so incredible. And you can find people all over the world on accessconsciousness.com. Yeah, there's practitioners. You can go take a class and learn how to do it, and then you can exchange sessions with people. It's just, it's one of the most powerful tools that I've ever experienced.
And Heather, I actually don't know how much time we have left, but could you tell me one thing that you acknowledged for yourself that you desired and you have showing up in your life right now?
Oh man. I mean, there's so many things. Um, yeah, just a lot more beauty, and peace and ease. And yeah, that's something that I ask for every day, and I choose more of every day. And some days it doesn't feel like it's there at all, Um, and but yeah, I'm really, really grateful for that. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I was looking at it in the morning, and I was also looking at how often we do forget what was the thing that we desired. And I actually kind of acknowledged for myself that it was good that I forgot what it was that I really desired that. Because when we have that board, you know, when you create that board, I really would love to manifest a man with a blonde hair. And I was just, for the fun of it, I was like, but maybe at the time that you meet him, he might be bald. And then you don't know that he has a blonde hair, but it's the man that you've always desired to have around yourself. So I was looking at, because I always desire to be around horses and have them pretty much when I walk out the house to have horses there, like live at the ranch. But then I totally, during the life, forgot that totally. And then I found my husband and married him and showed up in a house that has horses right when I walk out the door. And I remembered, I was like, Jesus, that was the child's dream that I've always had. And I created it during the, like, through the life. And I actually created it also because I started to use the tools of access consciousness and had a lot of bar sessions in the meantime and started to choose for myself. But I was just having fun with that, that I forgot what I've always wanted, but then at the end I've created it. And that acknowledgement that I was like, oh my God, I did it. I'm here. This is it. That was very beautiful for me. I
That's
was
amazing.
like, oh, yeah. So maybe if you can look at your life, those who are listening right now or will be listening in the future, what is that one thing that you already manifested in your life or created and you forgot that you've always wanted it? And how about if you just tap yourself on the shoulder today and be like, you did it. You're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. That's awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Diana. And thanks everybody for being here. And the translators and the team and everybody that has put this together. There's a grand finale on the
27th.
22nd, which is Saturday. I'm not sure what day that is. The 22nd. With Dr. Dain Heer. And wow, somebody who has contributed so much to, I know, both of us and the world, and with all of these conversations and so much more. And I'm so infinitely grateful for him. And so yeah, he'll be bringing it on home on Saturday. And there's all kinds of beautiful resources and classes and all of that on beingyouday.com and accessconsciousness.com.
And we hope that you'll be choosing more of what you truly desire for yourself. Thank
Thanks.
you, everyone.
Bye-bye.